Hey, howdy, greetings. Welcome to the Markdown Podcast, the only podcast that talks about wrestling. It's newfound territory, but we bravely have voyaged where no wrestling fans have dared to go before. My name is insert pop culture reference here, and I am joined by a man who definitely died overnight during the Squid Game, Jimbo Slice. Our resident foolish baseball fan, and the only Lord I know, Reverend Nick Cummings, not to mention Chitty Chitty Chad Chad, hanging Chad Johnson. We have no time for these long intros. We must talk about the Graps. But first, it's Halloween-ish, kind of, sort of, depending on when you're watching this. It could be Christmas for all I know. But we are ever festive on the Markdown Podcast. Jimmy Proton, you appear to be a mechanic or something. Is that right?
That's exactly it. I am just your run-of-the-mill generic mechanic.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Rev, you appear to be a guy who liked the ending of How I Met Your Mother. Very fun. How did you come up with that costume?
Internet.
I see the inspiration.
Also, the end of How I Met Your Mother sucked, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah, I think that explains why you would go with the costume, because you're dressed like something you normally wouldn't be. So,
and that's scary to think about. Like I'm spooked.
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense. And Chad, you are clearly a bowler who just got a 7-10 split when you were 2 strikes away from getting a 300. That is such a fine line to walk. I don't know how you managed to pull it off.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And obviously, I am a leaf blower. A whole applause. So we don't have time for any of this nonsense. We have serious stuff to talk about. This past Friday night on Friday Night Spookdown, we saw everyone's favorite thing, a title swap between Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair and SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch at the time. Anyway, things went a smidge bit off the rails, though, as when Becky went to reach for the title, Charlotte pulled it away and ended up dropping the title on the floor, which supposedly was an accident, the dropping, not the pulling away. That was clearly on purpose. And that kind of sent the whole segment off the rails. Not too far, because it's ultimately not a great segment in the first place, so it can't get that far off the rails. But this angered both Rebecca and Sonya Flairion. Sonya, which resulted in Beckylynch chucking her title at Charlotte Flairion. Sorry for misspeaking. And after the show, they got into a heated argument backstage, which involved a lot of yelling, no physicality, just a lot of heated debate between Becky, Charlotte, and including Sonya Deville. Becky had to go out and wrestle a dark match, and in that time, Charlotte was reportedly either asked to leave the building and left, or asked to leave the building and escorted out by security, so that by the time Lynch got back, Charlotte was gone. Some other key details that were reported, and this is from across several different reports, not even just following the incident, but no one backstage was upset with Becky Lynch. They took it as her standing up for herself, and a lot of people were upset with Charlotte Flair, who was the one that went off script and was acting unprofessional. And this isn't the first incident of people backstage supposedly having heat with Charlotte Flair. A lot of people backstage, again, reportedly, don't even recognize her anymore. And that is not just because of plastic surgery. I wasn't going to make that joke, but I made it, and I don't feel bad. Charlotte was actually lobbying to lose the title to Bianca Belair on Raw ahead of the title swap, which, maybe wasn't a bad idea. But that wasn't meant to be. And it is noted that nobody wanted this title swap to happen. Not Becky, not Charlotte. Pretty much everyone knew it was a bad idea, besides like one guy. And look, I've done a lot of talking so far, but as a giant Becky mark and as someone who hates Charlotte the appropriate amounts, I do want to put a few things out there before I throw it over to Mr. Well-Spoken, who's going to no doubtedly put it into great words. Charlotte is wrong in this situation. She's kind of just being a little baby, but I do have a small amount of sympathy for her. Charlotte has been booked so strong over, well, she's just always been booked strong. But strong booking doesn't mean good booking, and a lot of Charlotte's booking has just been terrible. I mean, earlier this year, and it feels like a lifetime ago, Charlotte was feuding with Lacey Evans, who was taking helicopter rides from her dad. And, you know, I don't think anyone really wants to have a feud like that, which, if you really think about it, how inappropriate does Charlotte's WrestleMania 35 entrance seem now? But anyway, she missed WrestleMania because of a false diagnosis of a pregnancy test. So she missed the first show back with fans for WWE. And that sucks, honestly. Granted, I think what we got ended up being better because it kind of established Rhea Ripley on the main roster right off the bat. So it worked out for everyone else but Charlotte, who, again, feel a little bad for in that scenario. Plus, you've got, you know, I made the joke about the plastic surgery. Super fucked up in me. But you know why she probably got a lot of that plastic surgery? Because of people on the internet telling her she looks too much like her dad or making all these other inappropriate comments to her. And, you know, the human aspect of that is so messed up. And I feel bad for Charlotte in that regard. But that's the extent of my sympathy. She didn't want to seem weak. She didn't want her title reigns to seem weak. All of her title reigns have been weak. She loses them within 3 months almost exclusively, and no one looks better coming out of the end of it. Like, all of her reigns are weak. She loses them 2-3 months, like I said. You got to get those numbers up. She's trying to break her father's record. Cool. No one would disagree that the title swap is stupid. I already said it. I think everyone agrees with that. I know you guys haven't spoken yet. I'm sorry. I'll let you guys do that eventually. But, you know, there's a pattern at this point with Charlotte. Her title reign's quick, pretty unmemorable besides the first couple ones, and then we move on. And let's not forget, we're only, 2 months removed from the Nia Jax incident, and not that Nia Jax wasn't also the part of the problem there, but, you know, and we're 2 years removed from the Kairi Sane incident, which was, you know, all Charlotte in that case. And, you know, so she has a pattern of acting unprofessional. Granted, this time is literally the most, it's the most harmless. It's literally the most harmless. But it's a pattern here. And granted, at the end of the day, it's really not that big a deal. I don't blame anyone for getting mad. And supposedly people don't want to work with Charlotte anymore. And again, I don't say I blame them, not because of this, but because who looks better after feuding with Charlotte, you know? And this part is pure speculation on my part. This is not tied into any reports, but you gotta imagine, because Charlotte said in an interview with Renee Young that her and Becky aren't close anymore. They just naturally drifted apart. They needed each other back then. They didn't need each other now. Basically, they both have gotten engaged in the past couple of years, and, you know, have kind of moved their separate ways. You got to think there's some resentment there. Becky literally took Charlotte's win at WrestleMania 35. That was earmarked for Charlotte from day one, since Ronda Rousey first got in the company, and then that went to Becky. And almost all of Becky's popularity has come at Charlotte's expense. And you got to imagine, no matter how cool you are and how level-headed you are, that's going to get to you. Like, a part of you is going to think about that. And, you know, Charlotte was raised by Ric Flair, old school wrestler who has an old school mentality about protecting your spot. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear that there was some jealousy there. But again, that is solely speculation on my part. But I've talked way too much, and I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to throw it over to someone who I think could win Money in the Bank, Chad. Chad, what do you think about all this? And also, can you see Charlotte leaving WWE? I know it sounds crazy, but...
All right. I'll preface this by saying that I don't hate Charlotte. That being said, here comes the smear campaign. Um, I think that number one, I don't think Charlotte leaves. I think everything is always Charlotte's rules or Charlotte's way. I feel like backstage, she's one of the few wrestlers who can literally probably do anything they want, and there aren't many consequences because of the name. She's a great superstar. She has all these reigns, which I agree with you. The reigns are weak as shit, but it doesn't stop her in ring ability. I think lately, though, honestly, Charlotte has been very babyish. I hate saying that about certain people, but she has seemed very bratty as of late. She doesn't get her way. She's far removed. She's out of touch. She's super distant. You could tell, like everything you could tell, the promos, the wrestling, the matches, the reign, it all feels like she's mustering up strength that she doesn't have to just be here in the company. So I think she's whining. She'll take a break. She'll come back. Everything will be as it was, and she'll get her 100th reign, and everybody who's a huge fan of Charlotte will cheer. Blah.
I think using far removed and distant is a great way of putting it. She looks like she's just not into it, and she hasn't looked like she's been into it for a while.
Right.
And she'll probably take a break. She's taken a lot of breaks, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear that. So now I'm going to throw it over to the only man in all of wrestling YouTube who knows who Ty Wigginton is. That would be Ref.
Wow, a Ty Wigginton pull. Shout out to him. He's managing somewhere, I think. I digress. Yeah, this obviously is bad, and it's because starting to become a pattern, as you said, with Charlotte, where she's been, I will say, acting immaturely. I don't want to speak to Charlotte's personality. I obviously don't know Charlotte, but when you consistently act a certain way, you kind of, and you have this pattern here, then you can start to speak on those things. And it's difficult because obviously you don't want to see this stuff out of somebody, who's a top person in the company. As a fellow Becky fan, I don't want to see, somebody try to fuck her over no matter what the situation, even if she wasn't even trying to do it to screw over Bex, just to, keep herself strong or, keep herself looking good. So I obviously don't like it. And I do also want to point out that I have a lot of respect for Sonya Deville in this moment, because that could have went completely off the rails. And she got that shit together real quick, because I'm pretty sure she could kick the shit out of both of them for real. So she made sure to get that second bat together really fast. And Becky, I thought, actually played it off pretty well also by also throwing her title on the floor. But this just goes back to the idea that these title swaps are really dumb, and WWE shouldn't even have themselves in this position in the first place, because naming the titles after the brand, while I understand it, not constantly, but it puts you in this position, because then you go to a point where, well, okay, can we not draft the women's champion to the other brand, or can we not draft one of the tag team champions to the other brand just because it's named after the, and you end up with this confusing nonsense. So I don't know, maybe you just go a bunch of Universals and WWE championships and you drop the branding of the titles, but it's just one more thing in WWE's long line of stupidity, and it leads to just another absolute mess of a situation in their locker room.
Yeah, and I think you said it, man. Sonya really handled herself well, and reportedly she was, like I said, equally furious backstage and actually wanted to fight Charlotte. So, which hey, I'm all for seeing Sonya Deville go back to kicking ass.
Put your hair up and square up is legit. She'd kill somebody.
And I'm gonna throw it to someone who's maybe been chomping at the bits. I don't know. Our own resident PC principal, Jim Burton.
That was good. That got me. I'm just going to echo what all three of you so beautifully said. It's so much of this could have been avoided. So much of this was handled poorly. And it's hard for me. Like I have so much sympathy for Becky, who I think handled it as well as she could. I know I have so much sympathy for Sonya, who really showed her a resolve that I don't think a lot of inexperienced people would have. Like she showed her time there. And it's hard for me to be sympathetic to Charlotte. Like there are many people who have been saddled with terrible segments before. We've had Bailey, This Is Your Life,
I knew
with Alexa
it.
Bliss. We've had so many terrible things in the men's division and the women's division. And the reason these people are professionals is because they know how to handle themselves. They know it's a job that they've got to do. And in instances where these are situations or segments that they don't want to do, like it's weird because I've never really had a lot of love for these handling situations, but I respect a Neville Pac for saying, I don't want to do this stupid segment with Enzo Amore, so I'm going to walk out. I'm just not going to show up for work. Stone Cold Steve Austin famously took his ball and went home when he disagreed with a match he was supposed to have with Brock Lesnar. He was gone for 9 months because of it. I always want to see people be professional, especially in a professional setting. But I would rather you just not sabotage all the people around you on live television than do what Charlotte did. Like, Charlotte might not be happy with her booking. You know what? I get it. Danny, you said it. She may be very protected, but her booking has been laughable at times. It's been some truly atrocious booking for someone who's so on top of the division. But at what point do you recognize I'm already a 13-time women's champion? I'm 3 behind the 2 greatest of all time in terms of title reigns. And I'm not saying just be happy. I'm not saying just take what I've got. But how Liv Morgan can't get a fucking win on TV. And this woman is being handed another title. She's being handed a title, but she's not happy. And I heard she and Becky aren't close anymore. They drifted apart. And you know what? That unfortunately, that sucks. That's life. Sometimes we all go in different directions. But I'm not going to sandbag someone who I once called my best friend because I don't like a segment that she didn't even write. It's not like Becky was like, ooh, this is how I'm getting my next title. This is like, ooh, Charlotte's going to look bad here. Becky probably didn't want the friggin' thing either. Becky probably didn't want how this situation played out to play out. But she's a professional. Beckylynch is a professional. And a lot of her success might have come at Charlotte's expense. But this is why she deserves it. This is why she was in a better position to be the face of the company, the face of the brand, get the first women's main event win at WrestleMania. She deserves it, and she showed why. Charlotte is showing why she shouldn't have been. And it sucks because I think Charlotte is incredible. I have never seen a bad Charlotte Flair performance. She's that damn good. She's earned her last name. She has. But now she's showing that she is the daughter of the dirtiest player in the game. But she's not doing it in the ring. She's doing it with other people's booking and other people's jobs. It's hard for me to respect it, and it's hard for me to be sympathetic towards it. And in terms of her going elsewhere, I get it. Flair is done with WWE. I get it. Andrade is in AEW. Her contract still has years left on it. And if I'm trying to get to AEW, maybe I don't paint myself as somebody who throws a hissy fit when I don't get my way. So I don't know. For someone who has years left on her contract, this was a dumb move. It was. She must either be super confident that she's not getting fired, or she must not give a shit if she does.
Wow. This might be my favorite episode ever, man. Angry Jim is the best. I love this. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
What a great podcast, man. We're talking I didn't even talk about Becky throughout that whole thing because I was like, she really didn't do anything wrong. So I'm not going to sing her praises or criticize her in the situation. But Jim did it. So this is fantastic. Best podcast ever. But
apparently, if you come for Becky, we all just go after you on this podcast, and that's the end of it.
I'm going to say something corny, and I apologize, guys. I have so much respect for professional wrestling. It's been a dream of mine to be involved in the professional wrestling industry and the professional wrestling business, and it's obviously not something that I'm a part of right now, but I respect every wrestler, everybody who's ever been involved with wrestling for the contributions they've made. And I'm not good. Like, I'm not Walter. I'm not Imperium that I'm saying this mat is sacred, but she's living the dream of millions of people, and she's treating it as if it was beneath her. And that just feels like a spit in the face of not just the people she's working with, but the people who care about wrestling.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like what Chad said. She's living the dream, but she's checked out. Like, she's distant. She's somewhere else. Like, she's not even like living her own dream. She's just like, it's just a phase she's going through.
I mean, the truth is, wrestling wasn't her dream or her plan. She did it after her brother died, and she did it to honor her brother, which I think is beautiful. I think it's such an amazing sentiment, but I don't know how she thinks this is honoring her brother. And I know that's dark. I know that's heavy. Like, I feel bad saying that because I don't know Charlotte. It's like everyone said, I don't know who she is as a person, but all I know is what's being presented to me, and what's being presented to me, unless I'm really a mark and I'm getting worked here. This wasn't a great showing.
Wow, I can't believe you said those words in that order, Mr. Burton. Great stuff. Well, Dynamite happens, and almost as a direct result of that, some stuff happened on Dynamite. I'm just gonna blow through it real quick, and then I'll throw it to you, lovely gentlemen, for your opinions on it. So. CM Punk wrestled Mr. Fish in a decent match. It was pretty fun. Fish kicked out of the GTS after the 3 count because Punk took a long time getting to the cover. Interested to know, waste on a guy like Fish, because who cares? MJF wins a squash match, cuts a great promo. Darby Allin has a great Darby Allin style video before he makes his return. Him and Sting clear house. All good stuff. Aleister Black cuts a promo saying, I won even though I lost, and he's kind of right. He shouldn't have lost to Cody. Sammy faced Ethan Page, and I can't believe the babyface won the match and didn't lose his title to a mid-card jobber match, while Tony Nese sat in the crowd and looked on because for some reason Tony Nese is there. I like Tony Nese, don't get me wrong, just like, and then Sammy wins with the fruit roll-up, and Scorpio Sky comes out after the match to attack him. Inner Circle makes the save. Jericho cuts a typical great promo. Brian and Eddie cut great backstage promos that has me so excited for that match on Rampage. That's going to be so good. Full Gear will be Lucha Bros versus FTR. They both cut promos at different times during the night. Shida faced Serena Deeb in a match that went longer than like 70% of the Queen's Crown matches combined.
Probably Shida, the entire tournament.
Yeah, I didn't do the math, so I just played it safe.
I don't know about the finals, but I guarantee you the first 2 rounds were shorter than that match.
Absolutely,
literally
100%. Shida wins via roll-up, which was her Deeb attacked her after the match, but that was Shida's 15th win, so I guess she just hasn't had a match between their last match and now. Leo Rush cuts a good promo hyping up Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin on Rampage because Mike Sydal is injured. I thought he was injured this whole time, so I don't know. Moxley is 100% turning heel. I think we can all just see the writing on the walls, and I don't think they're trying to hide it from us. He comes out, does not waste any time, beats the shit out of 10, ripped his mask off, but it's okay because he was so bloody you couldn't see his face anyway. He wins in a ultimately squash match that was kind of awesome, not gonna lie. And then immediately leaves, for sure, turning heel. Cody comes out. I don't know if you guys are going to be shocked to hear this or not, but he got booed by the crowd.
No.
Not Cody.
Yeah,
Everybody
I know.
loves Cody.
I know he's like America's babyface, but for some reason
He's
they
on
were
the
booing
show
him.
with Rosario Dawson.
All right, that's actually America's baby face.
You know, I think it's because he comes out of the middle, so the crowd doesn't know whether he's babyface or heel or not, and that's where all the confusion lies.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He cuts an interesting promo. He kind of alludes to hitting a pedigree because he says, "Oh, I had the arms hooked, and I could have hit a different move instead of the Tiger Driver 98, but I didn't." So I thought that was kind of interesting. He took his shoes off, which is becoming a reoccurring thing for Cody to just take his shoes off in the middle of the ring.
He's a foot guy. What can I tell you?
Yeah. And honestly, the most shocking part of this was that Arn Anderson didn't whip out his gun and shoot Cody. I think because Andrade interrupted him, so he never got a chance to. Andrade came out, cut a okay promo. Him and Cody got into it. Black showed up. So Zelina Vega's faction is across 2 different companies now. It's pretty interesting. And then Pac made the save, and Pac is great, so we'll probably get a fun tag match out of that. It's a good way to somehow try to keep Cody babyface, like he said in his promo, that he won't turn. But yeah, then the main event was just so fun, and I know it's probably what a lot of you guys are going to want to at least talk about to some degree. It was Dark Order versus the Elite in an 8-man tag. Colt Cabana was dressed as Brandon Cutler, and I thought that was fantastic. Stu wasn't really dressed up. He just wore his dad's clothes to the ring, and that was that. Uno was, I guess, instead of cowboy shit, he was a shit cowboy. And John Silver went as the deer boy from Fall Out Boy's Sugar We're Going Down music video, clearly. And this was just really funny to me. As the camera's panning across Dark Order on the apron in their costumes, Excalibur, straight face, says, "This is an intense rivalry." Before the Elite come out in freaking Ghostbusters costumes. The match was so fun, though. And an amazing Trojan horse, M. Night Shyamalan worthy twist. The Elite had a Michelin Man out with them the whole time. And as it turned out, it was Hangman Adam Page under that. And, I'm not doing it justice, but Dark Order wins because of all the shenanigans. So much fun. Just another big tag match they treated differently, where the Elite come out to different music, one-off entrance music, so they made it special. And it was just fantastic. So that was, everything about Dynamite. So, Rev, why don't you give us a John Boy style breakdown of all of this?
I believe we said earlier before we started that this was a fun episode of Dynamite. Like nothing big happened, I guess, maybe except the end with Hangman and reuniting with Dark Order. But and we set up a few matches for Full Gear, but nothing like huge happened. We're still building to this pay-per-view. So we took another very good step going there. A lot of intriguing stuff, I thought, though. I'm very much interested in this Cody Rhodes and Malachi Black and Andrade and Pac thing that's going on. I'm just really interested in what they're doing with Cody. Because I said a few weeks ago on this show that I was convinced they were going to have to turn Cody heel. And as you say, Cody explicitly said he's not going to turn. Explicitly, excuse me. So I'm just very much enjoying his character work at the moment because he's the face who wants to be loved by the crowd. And I think in some ways still kind of is. But everyone's still booing him anyway. It's just very weird dichotomy between the two of them. And I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's going to actually lead to. Excuse me. It's going to lead to an absolute banger of a match between those 4 guys. So I'm looking forward to that. And Sheeta got her fucking win back, and I'm hyped.
Yeah. Spoken like a true Jake. I actually think there could be an interesting dynamic there if Cody is the baby face who the crowd hates, but he desperately is trying to win them back, and instead of going the whole boo me if you want route, like he actively tries to win them back. I think there's something there. So I'm gonna throw it over to Chad, Big Misbehaved Johnson. What did you think about AEW Dynamite?
I'm going to be quick. I just have a few notes. I thought the episode was super good as usual. It's, regular. It wasn't anything super duper important besides, like Rev said, the setups for Full Gear and the Cody shit at the end. But other than that, regular, just good episode as always. I'd like to say that I do think that Cody has become more interesting as of late. I'm kind of cool with the in-between heel and face tactics and promo work, the character development. It's a nice look. The women's match was fucking phenomenal. Takes the cake for me. The tag match was fun, but the women's match was great for me. Stu Grayson is probably my favorite wrestler in AEW besides Orange Cassidy. He's not my favorite personality, but he's probably my favorite wrestler. I'm amazed each time I see the Dark Order. I love them. Great episode.
All right. Yeah, the Cody stuff somehow this week made, despite him saying, hey, despite all you guys booing, I'm not turning heel, somehow made things kind of more intriguing. But Jim Curry, please give us your take on the matter. And for once, be honest.
I hide so much. That's why I wear the mask, guys. No, I really enjoyed AEW tonight. I really enjoyed Dynamite, and I know you guys actually caught me watching the main event segment, and it was just fun. It was fun, which I think wrestling should be fun sometimes. It shouldn't always be this super serious affair. It shouldn't always be this dramatic event. Sometimes fun is exactly what we need. And weirdly, while I love the Hangman reveal at the end, I really did, I kind of wish it wasn't tied to everyone being in costume, because I feel like it's such an important moment. And if it's ever getting clipped years from now, remembering that Hangman was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man hugging reindeer John Silver, it's gonna feel like a fever dream. Yeah, right. He Bambi. It's gonna feel like it's gonna feel like a fever dream, and it's just a minor complaint because it was such a fun segment, and I loved them just destroying Brandon Cutler. It could not have been done better. You almost have to wonder why the idiot ran out in the first place. But I don't care. I just had too much fun watching it. And just moving on to the rest of the show, I actually looked up the times. The 2 women's matches so far for the TBS tournament title, for the title, the 2 matches combined have more time than the entire Queen's Crown tournament.
Surprising, absolutely
so,
no. Yeah.
Right? So that was in itself something, just of course.
Disgusting.
Chad, I think you had the best way of handling Cody. I think even though we're just really with Cody, it's the first time that we're in a while where we're just I wonder where this is going. We're all hoping for the heel turn. We all want it to happen. And the more he fights it, the more we want it. And it's, for the first time, I'm actually not feeling another Cody segment. I do have to ask, just is Death Triangle still a thing? I don't know. What's his name? On Pac just he comes and he goes, he's with them, he's not, and instead of dealing with Andrade with the rest of Death Triangle, where you could have sort of FTR and Andrade, you're having him teaming with Cody, which okay, but I don't know. I do think it's cool that Andrade and Malachi Black are together, and I kind of just wish Zelina was there too. But hey, she won the tournament, guys. That's all that matters, right?
She's a queen.
She's got the crown.
Yeah, all 18 minutes of the tournament.
Hey, nobody's in a year, no one's gonna remember to complain about it. They're just gonna remember that she was the queen. And good for her. Like, as bad as that tournament was handled, good for her. But anyway,
they're probably going to remember she was the queen because she'll still be running the same gimmick because WWE can't think of anything else.
You say that like I don't want a year of Xavier Woods as the king. You're saying that like I don't want to see this man waving his scepter in my face.
Phrasing.
I know what I said.
Carefully.
I'm taking a page out of somebody else's book. He could just do whatever. Like, good for him. But yeah, it was good. It was a good show. And I'm going to be the one person saying this. I'm kind of excited that Tony Nese is there. Like, I know this is weird. I know it's just, I know that the guy is like super talented. He showed that in brief glimpses in WWE. It's just he was never developed as a character. Like his character was that he didn't have a character. His character was his abs. And I think if you put him with like the segment that he made his little cameo appearance was with the Men of the Year. I feel like he'd be perfect with them. Let them do the talking. Let him just look good with the abs and everything. And I think it'll add to their little group a little bit. But with or without that, I hope to see him do well. And yeah, Moxley is just a psycho now. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I feel bad for 10, but it was cool.
I don't think, to disagree with you, Danny, I don't think Moxley's turning heel. I just think maybe he have some more heel tendencies, but at this point, he just seems really fed up with everything. Because I said this, I think last week, Moxley is the type of guy where he can pretty much just keep doing the same shit he's always doing to an extent and still be, and not have to like, he doesn't really have to change his character and can go from face to heel pretty easily. So it's going to be a little more violent now, I think, is going to be the difference. Obviously, he murdered 10 and he murdered Wheeler Yuta a couple weeks ago. But I don't think he needs to change too much because, even face Moxley is coming out and jumping people. So obviously who he goes after changes, I think. But
to disagree with your disagreement, I am going to agree with Danny, the host with the most right now. You're right. Moxley is a character that doesn't need a lot of changing to go from face to heel. He's just tweaking himself. But right now he murdered Wheeler Yuta and he murdered 10. Nothing against those guys because I like those guys. But next week, if he murders Orange Cassidy, I'm not gonna be happy about it. If he murders Bryan Danielson, I'm not gonna be happy about it. And if he murders Hangman, I'm gonna boo the motherfucker. Like I just am. Like that. You're absolutely right. Right now, he's just amping himself up a little bit, but it's happening against 10, who good for him for having a Dynamite match. I don't know if people are gonna feel the same. Like he already got booed when he was against Hangman in that ladder match.
Well, everyone got booed in that ladder match.
No, of course, but that's the point. Fans are willing to boo him if the right opponent's there. That it was Hangman and everyone was pro Hangman that night. Are they not going to be pro Hangman if Moxley decides to murder him or try to murder him the way he murdered 10 tonight or Wheeler Yuta 2 weeks ago? I think that I agree with you. He's not a heel yet, but it's coming. Like Kenny Omega was the same thing in the same tournament last year. Kenny started the tournament relatively a face still after the breakup with Hangman, but then with each win, he became a bigger and bigger prick.
Right.
Like the first match, he just squashed Sonny Kiss, and then he like really overconfident. Like he was just like, good game to Sonny, like a real Yeah. And then with every match, he showed who he is a little bit more. And I think they're sort of recreating that now with Moxley, but I still don't know Moxley wins the tournament. You guys got in my head last time. I had him as my pick. Now I don't anymore confidently. And I think him losing is going to be what really sets him over the edge. Similar to Serena Deeb tonight, losing her match with Shida and just going ape shit after the match, which was just perfect. I love that segment. I did. I don't know about anybody else.
To add and slightly disagree with your point of view, you guys have been watching much longer than me, so you probably know more. But I absolutely think Moxley turns heel, wins the tournament, and is set up to feud and spoil with Hangman. Hot take.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a beautiful rivalry for Hangman's first, defense and whatnot after the title.
Yeah, it's a big name, former champion.
They already, like James said, they already booed him at the ladder match. It's kind of building. Yeah. Looks good.
And
just saying.
Haven't seen many former champions go back after the title yet in AEW or at all. Jericho never went back after the title. Moxley, after his rematch, the barbed wire match, stepped away for a while. This would be like the first time someone's really chasing.
And Shida, but.
Well, I just meant for the men's.
Right.
But yeah, I think it could be interesting. I think the writing's on the wall. I don't think his character will change much, but I do think he will just be. It's one that he's not turning heel as much as we have. The decision's up to us, and we made the decision that he's heel. Plus, he has a kid now, and look at Beckylynch or Seth Rollins. Once you have a kid, you're a bad person. That's just how it goes.
But you know what it is? You won't get any sleep, and then you just cranky all the time, and it just makes you an asshole.
God, I would love that. I would love if that's like the canon kayfabe reason. He's a heel now because his kid doesn't let him fucking sleep at night. I would love that.
Didn't he mention that in the promo a couple of weeks ago? He's like, I haven't slept in 3 days. Like, he was doing some shit. Like, I could have swore he said something like that.
But he was like holding on his finger. It was a great promo.
That was tonight, yeah.
But on a serious note, in terms of him turning heel, I think that there is a lot of the groundwork secretly being done. Like we've had, Danny, I know you mentioned it with Brian and Eddie, those fantastic promos that have been going on. And let's just say, because it happened on Rampage, not on Dynamite, Brian did progress in the tournament by beating Dustin Rhodes. And Eddie progressed in the tournament by beating
Lance
Archer, and
who hopefully is okay, by the way.
Yes, everybody, Lance Archer, keep him in your thoughts. Took a nasty bump, but anyway, Brian and Eddie have been exchanging these amazing promos where Brian is just essentially calling Eddie lazy outside of the ring, and Eddie fired back tonight about his daily struggle, and it made me sympathetic. But if Brian beats him and then faces Moxley in the finals and Moxley turns heel, maybe we do see Moxley and Eddie both turning heel.
That'd be good shit. That's good. That's good television.
Yeah. Although then again, they have kept Mox and Eddie away from each other for the last couple weeks or so. So perhaps they're just splitting them up and Moxley goes heel. Because I think you guys are. I think I'm kind of starting to come around to your point of view where. Yeah, he's going heel. I think my thing was more I always just kind of saw him as a tweener either way. And like Danny said, we get to decide where he is at that point. So, yeah, I think they're going to maybe keep Eddie away unless obviously that can change next week. Plans change. But from what I've seen, it looks like they're separating them, at least for now.
Yeah, I think they want to keep them apart because I don't know if they know what they want to do with Kingston yet because you can easily turn him heel again and no one would have a problem with that because he's fantastic at it. Or you can ride out the face, run a little bit longer, and then they can feud again with the dynamics change, and that would also be interesting. So I don't think there's a wrong way they can go about it. So I think it's a great thing that they're keeping them apart. Do you guys have any final thoughts about Dynamite before we move on?
Oh, just to circle back to what you were saying earlier, I think Andrade's promo was trash. The
Damn
end.
it.
I wasn't
Damn
going to
it.
say that.
I
The
always,
end.
I don't know. I always feel not bad, but like he is speaking in his second language, so I didn't think it was a bad promo considering he's cutting it in English. He doesn't have to say a lot. I mean, was it the greatest promo ever? No, but he's doing a good enough job. Then again, I would like to see somebody with him. Like, I mean, obviously, I would love to see Zelina back with him, but that's not going to happen for a minute. So having somebody with him, like Penta has Alex, he has Alex. Yeah, I'd rather see something like that where Andrade says some things and then he has the mouthpiece speak for him, which they were trying with Chavo, but I don't know what happened to him.
So I could say that, like, well, the Chavo thing, because he had to go film something or whatever, so he had to leave.
Right,
anyway.
yes.
Like, the Andrade promo, the way I look at it is when he first came out and he was getting in Cody's face, and I was thinking, oh, we're going to have a Cody Andrade singles feud. I was like, I'm not really into that, but I was like, you know what? Hey, it's something that I can kind of tune out if they do this a full gear. Like, this could be like my match where I'm like, all right, let me check my notes, make sure I got everything under control, and not pay as much attention. But once Pac and Black came out, I'm like, ooh, they're going to do a tag match. That got me so much more into it that I don't really care much for Andrade Cody one-on-one, but this tag match, I'm super into. But yeah, I'm with you, Chad. I didn't think the promo was good, but I also understand. I understand what you mean, Rev. Like, it's a second language, but even it's just one of those ones like I don't know if there's a good version of that promo. I think there's just an okay or fine version of that promo. That is what it is. But yeah, super into the tag match though, so I'm excited for that whenever that's gonna happen.
I'm also very much enjoying the continuing of the slow burn of Wardlow is eventually turning on MJF.
I cannot wait.
We have MJF's accountability buddy now because we get to talk about since we've had 2 episodes of Dynamite since our last show. So having Sean Spears back with them and they're all together again, or not all of them, FTR is kind of off to doing their own thing with the titles, but having at least those 3 guys at the Pinnacle together has been great. Sean Spears is, hey, after he found out he was going to be keeping an eye on Wardlow, was perfect comedic timing. And I'm just so excited for this eventual. Yeah, he's going to kill it. Like Batista and Triple H just murder him. And it's going to be a while longer. I think they're going to hold it off for maybe at least 2 more pay-per-views, but when it happens, it's gonna blow the damn roof off the place, and I can't fucking wait.
Small note, when MJF was cutting the promo and they did the fake out with Sting's music, that was great. But when the lights actually went out, and MJF must be the smartest man in wrestling, because he was just like, I'm just gonna keep talking, and like to actually have a wrestler speak into the microphone and then have Sean Spears be like, oh, it's not me, buddy. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, how has that never been done before? Like, that's one of those like things that blew my mind. It's so simple and like just a simple, not even that good of a joke, but like it just works so well, and it's never been done before, as far as I know, in wrestling. I'm just like, how have I never seen that before? And like it just made me love it.
I think, oh my God, I almost called him Ty Dillinger. I think Sean Spears has been spending way too much time with Cassie and Jess.
Absolutely. The comedy is there. It's there. It's beautiful though.
Yeah, he found his calling right now. This is how he's going to get his TV time.
Oh, hey, look, more Sean Spears, the better. I love him. So keep him on. I liked him as Ty Dillinger back in NXT. I liked him as Stan when he got super kicked backstage by Shawn Michaels. And I like him now. He's a lot of fun. And if he's going to do more of this comedy stuff and just kind of be the funny guy in the Pinnacle for the next however many months, I'm so totally here for it.
So, guys, it is Halloween, and we do have some spooky news for you. And what's spookier than a bunch of people losing their jobs? I don't have anything spookier than that. Ring of Honor is releasing all of its talent and going on hiatus before a major rebranding after the first quarter of 2022. It's interesting because, you know, out of all the companies, AEW and WWE included, I think they handled the pandemic in the most humane way out of all of them and did the right thing and deserve a lot of praise for that. But what they're doing now, I don't know if that's a direct result of them doing the right thing and the humane thing, or if this was something inevitable for them. But the timing wise, it seems kind of fishy, like it's probably related. JTG, Timothy Gisante, please fill us in on this spooky, scary story.
So this might be the craziest thing I've seen happen in wrestling in years. I cannot ever recall a company releasing every member of its roster, not only within a small time period, but all in the same day. I think it's unheard of. Ring of Honor was once a pillar of the wrestling industry. It was a distant but still legit number 3 to WWE, and I guess at a time TNA/Impact. And in the last few years, they have faltered. They have fallen quite a bit. The truth is, while it's not something, you know, that's fun to talk about, when the Elite were there as the Bullet Club, or just even as the Elite, they were propping the company up for a very long time, and Ring of Honor was relying on them to sell shows. They had incredible talent on their roster, but they knew how valuable the Elite were, and the Elite were constantly at the top of their card. And when the Elite left Ring of Honor and New Japan to create AEW, Ring of Honor was left in the lurch because all those promising stars that they had didn't feel like stars. They felt like guys who were second to the guys who left. And Danny, you made a great point. They handled the pandemic in the most honorable way, no pun intended, that I can imagine. They were not putting on shows, and they were still paying every member of their talent their salary. Now, granted, a Ring of Honor salary is not a lot. I know, like, there have been plenty of stories over the years of their talent not really being able to afford to just live off their salary alone. But still, that's money for doing nothing for 18 months. That's incredible. And I'm going to offer a little bit of a differing opinion about how this is being presented, about everybody losing their jobs, because you're absolutely right. It's terrifying. It's scary. But Ring of Honor is going to be running their shows from till the end of the year. They're going to be running through, they're going to be doing their tapings for November, and they're going to be doing their big end of the year pay-per-view Final Battle in December. And then January 1st, all of their talent who are contracted through the year or a little bit longer are going to be released. Anybody who's contracted even longer are going to be paid through March 31st. But, and this is why I think what Ring of Honor did was, in my opinion, not the worst, is they know that they're not going to be doing shows from mid-December or end of December through April. That's a long time to not be working if you're a wrestler. And that's a long time for a company to be paying someone for not working. So as opposed to keeping them under contract and doing nothing with them, a la Lucha Underground a few years ago, where so many stars were under contract and not getting paid and not allowed to wrestle anywhere else, even though for years nothing was happening. Ring of Honor is saying, we're going to work through the end of the year, and then as opposed to keeping you doing nothing and not getting paid, we're going to give you the opportunity to work elsewhere. And for a lot of talent, that's still scary. That's still not a guarantee. But for some top tier talent, this is going to be an opportunity for them to go off and still make money in a top way, in a big way. There are so many promising guys in Ring of Honor who have been catching the attention of the wrestling audience for a while now. But because Ring of Honor hasn't really been in a position to highlight these guys, they're just floundering, doing nothing. And it's a shame. Looking at the roster, and it's sort of unbelievable to look at these names that are just doing nothing in the grand scheme of the wrestling industry. You have guys like Jay Lethal, who is a great. You have guys like Roosh, who could be doing so much more. You have guys who are popular and young, like Danhausen, very nice, very evil. And the guy was on Conan. The guy was in a segment with Conan O'Brien, and they didn't know how to push this guy. There is so much talent there. Bandito, who is not only the Ring of Honor world champion, he's the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla champion. He's the PWG champion. He's one of the best in the world, and nobody's talking about him because he's in Ring of Honor. Now, a lot of these guys made that decision. They made the choice to be in Ring of Honor. And while Ring of Honor could be a very safe choice for a lot of these guys, now that they are sort of in a position to piss or get off the pot, I think we're going to see a lot of these guys thrive. As it is, today was the announcement about all these releases. Bandito is already going to be in GCW for a couple of dates. The Briscoe brothers, who have been in Ring of Honor from day one and have never left. That is Ring of Honor was founded in 2002, and they've been there for 20 years. They're the GCW Tag Team Champions now. They had to have known this was coming, and Ring of Honor was definitely giving them something to do. That's great. There is so much talent on that roster who I'm so sad are out of a job, but I am so excited for them to be allowed to move on to bigger and better things while Ring of Honor finds its stuff out. I've been seeing a lot of people joking online that what's going to be happening is Ring of Honor 2.0, because they keep saying they're going to be back in April. They're going to be back for their Super Card of Honor show, and they're going to be restructuring. If Ring of Honor's parent company, Sinclair, is not going to be giving them the money that they need to really be giving these guys a good wage as top stars, let them be a smaller company for smaller stars to sort of cut their teeth and make a name for themselves, while these bigger guys can go off to bigger and better. And I could go through this roster with you guys, and I more than half of them, I could say I could see them going to AEW. I could see them going to Impact. I could see them going to WWE. I want to see Jonathan Gresham versus Bryan Danielson. I think that's going to be a banger of a match. I want to see Flip Gordon maybe sort of rejoin the Elite book Flip. I think Brody King joining his tag team partner Malachi Black on a bigger stage would be awesome. There are so many names. There's so much potential. It's scary, and it's a sad time as a long Ring of Honor fan. This is a Ring of Honor mask. This is a Ring of Honor show that I've had for years. I've been a Ring of Honor fan and a part of that company in a weird way for a long time. I want to see them thrive. I don't want to see them be LOL ROH, but let's see what happens. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Well, that was beautifully spoken from a guy who's had so many personal experiences with ROH. So I think no one feels the magnitude of this story more than you, outside of people in the company. But I can't possibly add anything to what you said. Besides, this is my biggest takeaway. You mentioned Conan, so fuck Jay Leno is, I got to throw that in there anytime Conan gets mentioned. So yeah, fuck Jay Leno. Nerf Gun, do you have anything to add to this? That's you, Drake Maverick.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, is that me? Okay, I guess that's me. Anyway, first of all I wanted to say is this is now probably the second kind of semi-serious discussion we're having, and we're all in costumes, and I can't wait for these clips to go up online. That's James
It's like it's the fever dream of what AEW's main event was. That's what I'm saying.
you just poured your heart out about Ring of Honor, and you're in a freaking Jimnerico mask. It's just gonna be so great. Anyway, when I saw this news pop up in our group chat, I read it. I read the Reddit thread and everything, and the first thing I think thought in my head was, this ROH shit is wild, and it is. Because there's so many implications here, and I think James covered all of them. Where everybody's going, they're restructuring, what's going to happen with the company. It's such a ripple effect. It's unbelievable. But one thing I hadn't thought about until you mentioned it, James, was AEW starting, and not just them losing, the Elite with the Bucks and Kenny. And I don't know after that how much longer their New Japan relationship continued, if at all. But it's ever since AEW was started, they have just seemed to be in a decline. I didn't know anybody on their roster after the Bucks left because I just stopped watching or paying attention to it, I think would be the better phrase. I just completely checked out of Ring of Honor, slightly how I kind of checked out of New Japan. There were some guys still I knew, but outside of the big matches, I wasn't paying attention at all. I didn't know who their champ was. I knew Jay Lethal was still there, but I know Jay Lethal because of the greatest promo of all time with Ric Flair. I know the Briscoes from their matches with the Bucks, and then I know Danhausen because he's Danhausen and he's fucking lighting the world on fire right now. Other than that, I got nothing out of that. Nothing from Ring of Honor. So I'm learning now who these people are because now there's so many opportunities to see where they end up going. And I'm very intrigued to see where everything goes here because, like you said, there are a lot of interesting opportunities with people in WWE, in GCW, in AEW. There's a lot that could go on. And it's both sad yet kind of exciting.
Yeah, exciting is a good way of looking at it. I think it's almost like the indie/AEW/New Japan version of NXT right now. We're going to get all these call-ups to these different rosters all across the board, and it should be interesting. It's a fresh start for a lot of people, and a fresh start for people like us who kind of checked out with Ring of Honor and haven't been keeping up. But I'm going to throw it over to Brofi Kingston. No relation to Kofi Kingston, but possible relation to Eddie Kingston. Not sure. What do you got? How do you feel about this sad situation?
I mean, I think these gentlemen covered enough where I almost have to say nothing. But the perfect word that does come to mind, me being maybe a casual ROH fan, I've watched it in the past a few times. I'm cool on Jay Lethal. Like I like a few of the talents there. I think the perfect word is bittersweet. As Rev said, it's sad, and people are out of jobs, and that's always something serious to think about. But the opportunities and the excitement for what's to come from most of the talent there, I think that's the best outlook. That's the thing that we're looking forward to most. And also, I hope they do, in April, I hope they come back stronger and do a 2.0 and upgrade. I'm here for that.
It's interesting to think about because for the longest time, Ring of Honor was sort of a super indie company. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean, they had signed the best of the best when it came to indie talent. And the people who were grinding their teeth in smaller promotions all around the country, Ring of Honor was like the pinnacle of that. It's like, if you were in Ring of Honor, you were a top indie guy. And then when WWE established NXT as what it was, where they were signing all these indie guys, Ring of Honor was sort of losing that. Like if you were a top NXT guy, you were probably a big guy in Ring of Honor. And now with AEW, beyond the fact that the Elite left and what that did to their roster, AEW is 100% that, if you're a top indie guy, you're being scouted by AEW. AEW is presenting indie wrestling on a grand scale. So Ring of Honor is probably going to need to change what it's trying to be when it comes back. WWE has the entertainment factor. AEW has the indie wrestling factor. NXT is sort of like, I don't even know how to describe NXT 2.0. It's not bad, but I just don't know how to describe it.
Colorful.
And Impact, well done. Well, bravo,
miscellaneous.
Truly.
Miscellaneous, I love that.
And Impact is exactly like Chad, I wish you had saved it for Impact, because Impact is miscellaneous. They're their own weird universe. And Ring of Honor is going to need to be something different if they want to reestablish themselves as a contender in American wrestling. There aren't a lot of open markets left, and GCW is covering the hardcore stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this restructuring and what this rebranding for them is going to actually entail.
You know, sorry, Danny. I don't want to leave out the women's roster side of this either. Apparently, there are a lot of very good women over there that a lot of people online and a lot of people in the know are excited to go see in other companies. So I'm looking forward to brushing up on these people, because admittedly, I don't know, but I'm sure, James, you have a few. But
I can say that there are some incredibly talented women in Ring of Honor, but I can also say that in the 20 or so years that Ring of Honor has been a company, Ring of Honor has not cared about their women's division nearly as much as it should.
That I knew. But that's why I'm interested to see some of these women get new opportunities. This could be an opportunity for AEW to help bolster their women's division. Maybe we see a few of them in NXT. Impact obviously always has a good women's division, or at least of late. So, although we'll get to that in a little bit as well. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities on that side, on that side of things too. So, like I said before, it's exciting, despite the fact, as we've established, it's very sad to see these people, lose the stability of their jobs. And, hopefully Ring of Honor comes back, because it would be sad to see it go as well.
I think you guys did a great job of being as optimistic as possible about a really shitty situation for a lot of people. So hats off to you guys. Like, literally, I took my hat off. So on Halloween, Jim Tebow goes door to door asking for a Jolly Rancher to break him off a piece of their Kit Kat bar. And like simple plan, he'd do anything for a Klondike bar. But here on the Mark It Down podcast, we just go through the forbidden doors, one door over to Impact Wrestling, who had a very interesting show a few days ago. We're going to get into it more, but so the main headline for me, not maybe the main headline for everyone else, was that Mickie James dethroned Deonna Purrazzo as the women's champion, and I am a little surprised at that result, to say the least. But there was so much more that's went on, like the main event, which will be explained to you. We all love Mickie here, but was this the right move, Jim Duncan? And also fill us in on the main event, because I loved the way you put it earlier.
So we all love Mickie James. I don't think there's a wrestling fan out there from especially in our age bracket, who doesn't love Mickie. She has definitely been seeing a revitalization of her career post WWE, and I'm very happy for her for that. And she can still go, she's still a great talent. It's interesting to see her in Impact, and now as the new Knockouts champion, dethroning the excellently booked, we've talked about this before, Deonna Purrazzo. And it's a conflicting feeling if you're a fan right now, because on one hand, again, we want to be happy for Mickie, good for Mickie. But on the other hand, Deonna, who has been booked so well, has gone through the entire Impact division, the entire Knockouts division, I'm sorry, for Impact. And she didn't have anybody else to beat. Like, yeah, there has been an influx of new talent, and there were probably people who, if they had given them more time, could have been the person to take out Deonna. But I guess they wanted to take the title off now for whatever reason, and Mickie was probably the person best positioned to do that. I would have liked to see her be Knockouts champion a little bit longer. I think there could have been, even though they're best friends and we all sort of want to see them as a tag team, I think there would have been a great feud with her and Chelsea Green. I don't quite know what this does for Impact. I think this is a bigger win for Mickie than it is for Impact to have her as their Knockouts champion. But maybe this is their way of trying to really build up that connection with NWA. So we'll see what that means. Again, you know me, Mr. Positivity, Mr. Optimistic. I'm hoping that, as someone, like I said, Mickie could still go. I'm hoping that leads to a lot of fun matches because she has some talent to work with in that division. But we'll see. And that's not even, to me, as big as that news was, that's not even the most exciting women's division news Impact had. The Inspiration debuted, winning the Knockouts tag team titles. And first of all, wow to their entrance, wow to their new music video, and great for them as two incredibly hardworking women who are hopefully going to see so much success in this new company. Moving on though to the main event of Bound for Glory. That's it. I think we've all sort of ignored actually saying the name of the pay-per-view. That's my bad. Bound for Glory. We saw not only one new Impact World Champion, we saw two new Impact World Champions. Dethroning Captain Charisma himself, Christian Cage, we saw Josh Alexander, who has been a true, incredibly wow story for Impact, creating an honest to God star out of one of their guys. He's not a former WWE guy. He's not from anywhere else. He's one of their guys. And to just compare, his former tag team partner was Ethan Page, who is doing not a lot in AEW. And Josh stayed, and he showed why that was a good decision, as he is now the new Impact champion, or was the new Impact champion. As a long favorite to win the title, Moose called his shot and immediately cashed in on a winning opportunity that he got earlier in the night, to almost have essentially a Money in the Bank moment, where as the heroic Josh Alexander is celebrating his title win with his lovely wife and daughter, Moose waits for the man to turn around, spears him out of his boots, gets the 1, 2, 3, and just ruins such a beautiful Kodak moment for the Alexander family. Guys, let me tell you, I've said it before, I'm a mark. I love those babyface beautiful moments. I am always going to root for the good guy. I'm always going to root for the babyface. But I would be a damn liar if I said Moose ruining that celebration wasn't a, oh my God, this is amazing moment. And I know I've been saying it, this podcast has been coming around to it. Watch Impact, because that was a moment that, I'm sorry, WWE has been trying to cultivate for a long time, and Impact did it. They knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, you gotta love being mean to children in pro wrestling. Doesn't get much better than that. Also, well put, the Iconics. They deserve it so much. Great moment for them, and I'm sure it's as great as that was. It's all uphill from here. So, well put, James. Spoken like a true hot dog eating contest runner-up. But to move on from the big sad to the big bad. Chad, you're probably the biggest MJ fan out of all of us. How did you like Mickie James winning the title? How did you like the inspiration? And how did you like all the beautiful shenanigans of the main event?
Yes, I am by far the biggest Mickie James stan. I love her. I did not watch the pay-per-view, sadly. I know this is a wrestling podcast. James, I'm sorry. I will, I will watch it at some point this week before the weekend, I'm sure. This is number 10 for Mickie, correct? James?
I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'll look it up for you, but she's definitely got a few titles amongst a few different companies.
Okay. I think it's 6 in WWE. I don't know how many in Impact.
I'm sure it's up there. It's a lot. As a stan, I do not agree with the decision to put the belt on her. Impact has been really good as of late, so I'm opting to trust them and see what comes out of this. But I'm with James. I kind of don't see why you took it off Deonna. She's been booked greatly. She's run through the whole roster. She's looked incredibly dominant and protected. So I guess if she were to be dethroned, it needed to be by a legend. So I get that aspect. And as James said, Mickie can still go. I think Mickie will always be able to go. I just love her. But I don't really see why they did that at this juncture. But I'm choosing to trust them and see this out to see if something great comes out of it. I hope so, because Deonna, I mean, this has been her year. This has been probably the greatest year of her career so far. And I only see her being amplified. As far as Moose, I like Moose. I can't wait to watch the Alexander match so I can see us making children cry, as you said, Danny. That's phenomenal.
That's what wrestling's all about.
And as far as the iconics, the inspiration, I love them. I absolutely adore them. So I cannot wait to see them win the belts as well.
Yeah, I think you put it well. Like, we all trust Mickie James, so we're willing to ride it out. And for Deonna, it's a bump in the road. She's gonna move on and be just as good, if not better. So I'm gonna throw it over to Rev Pro Wrestling Opinions over here. What are your thoughts?
I looked it up just to confirm. This is indeed Mickie James's 10th title reign between the two major companies. She had.
I'm a stan.
Yep.
Well done, man. Good number. Yep. Way to go.
5 WWE Women's Championships, 1 Divas Championship, and then this is her 4th Impact Championship.
Ooh, accolades.
I do have to say, I'm a little surprised she won. As we've discussed both today and previously, Deonna Purrazzo has been one of the best book champions probably in the last 5 years. Like, she's just, everything she's done has been perfect. But to your point, James, they really cleaned out that division to the point where they didn't have a credible challenger where they could use to take the belt off of her. So where does that leave you? It leaves you with a person in Mickie James who I personally think would be best served as someone who is occasionally chasing the title, but probably, putting the champion over or putting people over to help build them to help shape the championship. A position I expect somebody like CM Punk is going to be in soon, where he's helping put over younger talent. But they had nobody else. So Impact kind of booked themselves into this weird little corner where they didn't really have a choice. Now, look, I'm happy it's Mickie. I love Mickie James, not as much as you, Chad, but I was going to say just as much as the next guy, but the next guy was Chad. So I'm sure she's going to do great with the title. I'm sure she's going to use it very well to help put over a lot of people, or at least give them the rub, not necessarily have a quick title reign and lose. And hopefully they can use her and now Deanna being able to perhaps lose a bit more since she doesn't have the title to help rebuild that women's division there. Because, like you said, James, she ran through everybody. They need to start building another credible challenger and then champion. So hopefully that goes that way. This Moose shit is hilarious. Oh my God. Just having him spear this guy right in front of his kid is amazing. I've always wondered how they get kids to go in on that, whether or not they tell them, or it's like, hey, your dad's going to get his shit rocked right in front of you, or they just let it happen and see how they react. But, oh, God, that was so funny. And I'm just going to reiterate what everyone said about the Inspiration. I love them. I am so happy that they are champions again. I'm so happy that they're tag team champions. Finally, after all of this time, they are tag team champions. It only took them, just being ignored for 5 years while WWE was putting it on their tag team, women's tag team champions on random pairings like Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, who never, talk to each other. So I'm so happy for them. I hope they whoop everybody's ass in that company, and may they reign forever.
Hey, don't disrespect the Iconics WrestleMania tag team title victory.
Oh, holy shit. I completely forgot about that.
Damn. I was going to say it. I didn't want to break it to him, but yeah. I still, to this day, say it was a mistake to not have them be the inaugural champions. Because
I agree.
Everyone's always going to know who Sasha Banks is and who Bayley is. They didn't need to be the first champions. Having the Iconics be the first champions means that their name would be attached forever. But I digress. WWE making a mistake. Shocker.
I'm editing that out. I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe I forgot. I can see it in my head now.
I think, honestly, it's great that you forgot that because it speaks to how poorly that division is booked.
Yeah.
No matter how much we love the Iconics, it showed that WWE just treated that division like a joke. So as embarrassing as that is, I don't think that's on you. I think that's on WWE.
Yeah. But I mean,
Quick,
God, how often does that happen?
Right now? Who are the women's tag champs right now?
I know who it is. It's Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley, but they're the only women's tag in the entire division. So by literally by default, they have to be.
So as sad as that all is, I'm going to switch it over to something that's kind of intriguing. Yeah, we're all laughing at what happened with Moose and with Josh Alexander because that's going to be a money feud for Impact. But I think sort of the hidden story there is, what does this mean for Impact's relationship with AEW now that they don't have an AEW superstar as their champion anymore? We have already seen that really their Forbidden Door access has really mostly gone one way. They got their two champions from AEW, which definitely helped them out a bit. And of course, AEW, I guess, did get the Good Brothers. But now that connection's cut, are we going to see much more crossover between the two companies? I think we've all agreed, we would love to see the women interact, but who knows? Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I'm just now noticing the Good Brothers haven't been on AEW television for a while. So
yeah, maybe that's a symptom. Maybe we're actually seeing Impact and AEW are sort of.
Yeah, I don't see that would. I don't see it that it ended poorly. I just kind of think it ran its course, at least for now.
Yeah, it wasn't a permanent thing. I don't think it was ever going to be. And it's been almost a year, since it started. We're like a month and a half off from the Winter's Comment episode of Dynamite. So I think it just finally ran its course. And, I hope it continues for the sake of the women's division, like we're saying. But if that was the end, it was certainly an okay ride.
An okay ride.
I gotta say though, I was really hoping for All In 2, but if it's gonna end at least for now, then hopefully, like I said, it ended well enough where we can get something again down the road, because I think this was benefit to everybody, and I think we even got some cool interactions where we had New Japan guys with AEW guys and Impact guys in the Impact zone, which I just love saying because it's just a ridiculous thing. But we all had them there, and it was like this crazy crossover where somehow Impact became the place that everybody meets at. So hopefully we get more, even if for now we're going to put it on the back burner.
Yeah, hopefully Deanna challenges Britt at some point, but yeah.
I think that actually be not only a very great match, but I think it would be a very plausible thing to happen now because she doesn't have the title and it's not a champion versus champion match. Makes it a lot easier.
Damn, I just got super excited thinking about that.
It also helps that Britt has basically also gone through a lot of the AEW women's roster, and hey, maybe flipping the switch a little bit, having an Impact person come in and take an AEW title would be a fun way of keeping that relationship going.
You don't think Tay Conti is going to beat Britt for the title?
I would love it. I am Brazilian. She's repping the country. She's repping the people, and
she's repping the peaches.
Oh, I was going to say. Beat me to it.
All right. I know, like, can we acknowledge how Tay is in this weird Twitter argument with Britt and somehow Jade Cargill about who has the best ass? What year are we in? I'm sorry. I know we're going off on a tangent with that, but what the fuck?
I haven't seen it. Now I'm going to search on Twitter.
Oh,
yeah. Wait, is it them or is it? It's actually them arguing.
It's actually
Twitter
them.
arguing.
It's actually them. They're like, yeah, you might be champion, but I have a better ass than you.
Way to stick it to her. Yeah.
2002.
Shit. Yeah. I know none of us know what to do with this now.
Right?
Oh God. All right, maybe we just have to move on because we have nowhere else to go from here.
Way to make it awkward, Jimothy.
Twitter make it awkward. Twitter did.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I was the only one who read it.
I guess. But yeah, Twitter is good for making it awkward. So there is that.
I'm definitely clipping that part of Jim saying, Twitter did it.
No pick. No pick. You sound like Seinfeld. No pick.
So, speaking of asses, we're going to segue into some wrestling news stories. And the way I'm going to segue is by saying that my sister's name is Erica. So Eric Bischoff, otherwise known as Eric the Bish, had some disparaging words for one Cat's Meow Punk, or CM Punk, as some of you might know him, basically implying or straight up saying that he has been a ratings failure so far. He's basically he seems a little bitter about Punk's comments, saying that him and Brian coming into AEW were kind of a bigger deal than Nash and Hall. And it's a little weird because he does show up in AEW a lot, but he's had some interesting words to say about Punk. And then Tony Khan, like a week ago when he was commenting on all the stuff Tony Khan was saying about the ratings war, he was saying, essentially, hey, stop talking the big game because you didn't really beat them like I beat them back in the day, because he always finds a way to mention how he beat Raw in the ratings 20 years ago. But I'm going to throw it over first to Breaking Big Bad. How do we feel about these catty remarks from Eric Bischoff? Not to be confused with Eric, the famous indie film director.
Both Erics seem butthurt. No, I'm sorry. No, he sounds hostile for no reason at all. Saying Punk is not a draw makes no sense. We've literally been awaiting for Punk's return. It's been one of the biggest wrestling stories in the last 5 years. Eric is just bitter. He's bitter as hell. He's a woman.
Which Eric again? I'm sorry.
Oh shit. Bischoff.
Okay.
Bischoff is he's acting real bitchy.
Okay, yeah, he's acting a little bitchy. Some of his remarks are just kind of silly. I think he knows that. But speaking of, and this is gonna be a rough one. Lord of the Flyers, what's your slapshot take on the subject?
I'm guessing that's me again.
Yeah, the only person who's a Lord. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Context clues, man. Flyer, Top Gun. Come on, buddy.
Lord.
It's late. Estoy cansado. I'm hungover. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I think, like Chad said, this is just Bischoff just kind of just being bitchy and catty. To keep with that word. This also seems like something where he's just kind of trying to put himself over, both saying that the WCW stuff was better and just trying to get more listens and clicks on his podcast. I don't know. It's weird because I thought he had a pretty good relationship with AEW, and between the stuff about Punk and then him and Tony Khan going back and forth, it's just a weird thing for me. But it's also just one of those things where wrestling guys just, talk bullshit and spew out nonsense, and they're always trying to protect themselves. I mean, we spent the first 20 minutes of this podcast talking about somebody trying to protect themselves and being bitchy. So it's just another one of these stories, and it is what it is. And it's going to be out of the news cycle within the next 5 days.
Yeah, just people in the wrestling business being people in the wrestling business.
Being sassy for no fucking reason.
It's some reality show drama, and who better to cover reality show drama than Jim McGraw?
Not only do I hate you, I hate me right now.
Yeah. Don't even explain why, because I'll explain why later, so don't worry about it.
Oh no. Oh no. Look, Eric Bischoff wrote a book a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember this book. I don't remember much about the book myself, but I do remember the title. The title of Eric Bischoff's book was Controversy Creates Cash. And Eric Bischoff has been controversial for a very long time because he knows that it's an easy way to get attention and it's an easy way to make money. What are people talking about? Eric Bischoff's stupid comments. Vince Russo makes stupid comments every day. Jim Cornette makes stupid comments every day. And we've gotten to a point of just ignoring them because all they say is nonsense. Eric comes in every once in a while, and that's why it's so shocking. The truth is, Eric Bischoff has appeared on AEW television several times at this point. He's doing it because he wants a job and he wants money. He's saying these things because maybe that job isn't coming as much or as often as he'd like. I don't know. But I do know that Eric has not only been crapping on Punk, but he's been crapping on AEW's booking for a while now. He's been crapping on Tony Khan for a little while now. And it's because he knows if he's not going to be working there, he might as well make a buck off them somehow. And to be so upset or to feel it's important enough to comment on CM Punk's personal opinion about how big a deal him and Bryan coming to AEW was, comparing it to something from the 90s. Like, just come on, man. Just come on.
Daytime diva.
100%. That was beautiful, Chad. It's just the honest to God truth. The man just wants to keep his name out there. The man wants to get subscribers for whatever it is he's peddling. And who am I to make your buck, dude. If people are gonna fall for it, good for you. You succeeded. But in 2021, I don't know why people should be caring about Eric Bischoff's opinion when it comes to wrestling. All the respect in the world for what he was able to do with Ted Turner's unlimited paycheck in the 90s for WCW. But we saw what he could do when he was left to his own devices in TNA. We saw what that did. We saw what happened when he was in the creative team for WWE. And far be it from me to say that Eric Bischoff's biggest contribution to WWE was a little segment called HLA, but you had your run, man. If people are trying to hype themselves up the same way you hyped yourself up back in the 90s, just let them. Who the hell cares?
Yeah, I think you put more thought into it than Eric Bischoff did when he said it. So, well put. Those were some great points that you made there. Eric Bischoff is a made man. And speaking of people who are made, Jimothy, there's a guy named Roman Reigns. And with alliteration like that, he must be an Avenger or any Marvel superhero, really. But he's actually a pretty big deal in WWE. I don't know if you've been watching for the last 6 long years, but he has been all over the show. And reportedly, WWE wants to not only push him as the current face of the company and the current best wrestler in the company, they want to make him the greatest of all time and push him as someone, I guess, that's supposed to surpass Hogan's level and Austin's level and Cena's level, which you can argue is technically either a step below or above those other two, depending on how you look at it. And while I think they're getting a little carried away with the success they've had with Roman Reigns in the past year, I fully believe this story because, of course, they're going to do this. Why have eggs if you're not going to put them all in one basket? That's obviously the saying that we all know. So, surprisingly, I'm not going to throw to who you think I'm going to throw to. I'm going to throw to the only Lord I believe in, Rev. What do you think of this hilariously obvious story?
Let's check our history for a second. Roman Reigns comes up with the Shield, and he's incredibly over. And people towards the end are thinking, oh, he could be one of the biggest guys coming out of the Shield, the biggest guy coming out of the Shield, if they book him right. And they booked him into the ground. His booking was so poor that fans turned on him. And nobody wanted to see him. And he was continually shoved down the fans' throats until he ended up having to leave for a while because of his illness. And then he came back and he was cheered again because he was back and he was healthy and we were all excited. And then they kept jamming it down our throats again and people ended up booing him again. Then he leaves again because of the pandemic and comes back heel. And he's finally got something good going. And what are they going to do but jam him down our throats again? And we're all going to hate him. Now, again, it's a little different now because he's a heel and we're going to boo. And it makes sense. And they'd be like, oh, look, he's over. But we're not booing because of that. We're going to be booing because they're jamming him down our throats again. And we don't want to see him necessarily. Like right now, I'm actually good. But if they keep jamming him down our throats, we're not going to want to see him. At least not in the position they want him at. And if they're going to have him overtake guys, like you said, like Hogan and Austin, and I guess depending on how you see the greatest of all time, if you're going to end up having him overtake guys in title reigns like Flair and Cena, or at least tie them, it's not going to be pretty from the crowd. It's just not. And if this is Vince's one of the last things he's going to do before he the company is no longer his by whatever way that happens.
Just say it. Say what you mean to say.
Well, there's been rumors he might sell, but if this is the last thing he wants to do before he, eventually passes, then so be it. But it's not going to work. It's going to be one of these things where Vince is going to cut off his nose to spite his face. I know he's finally a billionaire, but the millionaire who should be a billionaire type of stuff where he's just going to do this for him and it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I see it backfiring. I would like to point out, though, that I would think that when Roman Reigns came back from beating leukemia, he got like it's really messed up if we boo you right now kind of cheer, not a, oh, we love you now cheer. It was more like a, glad you're not dead, but like
Yeah.
we're like, it
No, yeah,
was
it
more
was-
like a glad you're not dead kind of cheer.
Yeah, it was
Like-
definitely a like, hey, like you're back, like congratulations, you beat cancer, like we're gonna pull for you for your bit. So like, well, you're getting your legs to get under you, and then they could have brought him along very slowly in terms of booking, but instead, he was thrown right back into the thick of things, and it was just like, oh shit, we're already back here. Fuck this shit.
Yeah, and I only brought that up because when I was at the Raw after WrestleMania 35, there was a guy with a sign in the crowd that was like, "Is it too soon to boo Roman Reigns?" And I thought that was the best. And I was like, "No, it's not too soon." Like, but and the other thing is, I don't think he's gonna really come close to Flair's record. I think he's gonna be more like a Bruno Sammartino, where he's gonna hold this title for like 700 days, and we're gonna get sick of it in that regard of like how many people can they possibly have him beat at that point, and that's more the company's fault, because I'm sure back in the day watching Bruno beat all these challengers was amazing, but also title matches weren't once every month, they were like once every 4 months, so spread out a little more. But I digress. I love this throw that I'm going to make right now. But Jim Horton, I am sure you heard a who when you heard this. So tell us about your camping trip, because you clearly pitched a tent immediately when you heard this news.
I do hate you.
That was a heady brew of stuff right
That-
there, man.
oh my-
Damn.
And I know you put some time into that, and that's why I've
Yeah.
got to respect you, but damn it. Holy hell. That. All right. So
That one made you laugh, huh, James?
he gets me. He gets me. He torments me, but I can't be mad at him because it's awesome. It's awesome. So
Really good at getting into people's heads.
yeah, even through the mask. Look, I've been a Roman fan since the Shield, and I never wavered. He was my pick from the Shield. I hated Seth Rollins because he flipped me off as Tyler Black in Ring of Honor. Dean Ambrose I liked him, but like he was a victim of how WWE booked him, and I just never saw his potential, unfortunately. So I was always a Roman guy. And I've been in arenas where I was the only guy cheering him, and people are booing me for cheering him. I've been there, and I was there at WrestleMania 31 when Seth cashed in the Money in the Bank, and it was such a deflating moment for me and for Roman. It was an awesome moment just in general, but it was deflating if you're a Roman fan. And I will always maintain that Roman is better than people give him credit for, but he is a victim of circumstance. He got booed the first time because the report came out, oh, we're going to book Roman Reigns to be the next top guy. And the moment fans hear that, and it's not the guy that they initially wanted, it doesn't matter how good the guy may be, the fans are going to pick that apart. It's like, why are you deciding it for us who the top guy is going to be? And that's a fair criticism. That's a fair thing to be upset about, but they never gave him a chance. And then he got hurt. I think he had the hernia for a little bit, and then he came back, and fans were wanting more of Daniel Bryan. And what happens? They don't get Daniel Bryan. They instead get Roman Reigns, and the fans start booing him for not being Daniel Bryan.
Which you should be booed for. Like, how dare he not be Daniel Bryan?
I look at people every day and I just start booing them for not being Daniel Bryan. Like in my everyday life, you're not Daniel Bryan, I boo you. I'm sorry,
but James,
you were just whispering in my ear like a Sith Lord, and I love it. But then Roman he kept getting pushed. He kept getting pushed. And no matter what he did, it's like Cena at ECW One Night Stand. He could bring out a new move. The crowd's still going to chant, "You still suck." It's how it went. And WWE has never been more stubborn than they were with Roman. Even with Cena, they were stubborn, but it made sense. With Roman, they were just forcing this guy who wasn't selling merch really, who wasn't like getting even 50-50 reactions. He was just getting booed, and they just kept with it. And then
Cena at one point got cheered,
yes,
before he became the guy. Like Roman Reigns didn't really have that. Like,
Roman had moments of being cheered. He got cheered when he beat the shit out of Sheamus and I think Triple H with the chair when he won the title. He got cheers as part of the Shield, and basically anytime he did something with Braun Strowman, like Braun was Roman's perfect foil, and he made Roman look cool. But it never really worked until the heel turn. When the heel turn finally happened, the fans were booing him, but because it was almost like they were supporting him by booing him. Like they were like, "You're a cool heel, and like we like you, but like we want to actually get this going, so we're gonna boo you, but be happy about it." And now I think once again he's going to be a victim of circumstance because this stuff is going to happen. The WWE report came out about, he's going to be our top guy, and fans are going to rebel against it again. So it's unfortunate, but hey, you made a good point about the Okada thing, not the Okada thing, about the Bruno Sammartino thing, but I said Okada because that's where I was going with it. In these years, like these last few years, we've seen that long championship reigns can work if you're booked correctly, a la Okada. But do I think WWE is capable of booking an Okada-like title reign? I don't know. I think we're at a point where Roman is going to be champion for a long time simply because there is nobody else to take the title off him. We all agreed it should have been Big E, but that didn't happen. And like, am I going to be hype if Drew McIntyre takes the title off Roman? Sure. Is it going to feel like an epic, grand coming of age moment? No. So I don't know. I think we're stuck with Roman as champion because there's no better option right now.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to present a better option anytime soon. I think and that's where I think the problem lies, because I don't mind that he's had the title for as long as he's already had it. I'm actually perfectly okay with that. And like, I'm in the belief that no matter who he faces at WrestleMania, he is retaining, and I'm okay with that too. But it's all the after that, because then they could push out a Drew feud between now and Mania. They can do a Brock rematch at Mania, or The Rock if he's coming in, but I don't think he is at this point, honestly. So if they do the Brock match again, I don't care. I know you guys like it, and it's nice, a nice role reversal, but it's also going to be like, cool, I've seen Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins beat Brock at WrestleMania. Is it really going to feel like that big a deal when Roman does it too? Like, I don't think so. But anyway, I think it's just a matter of, in the long term, this is only going to get worse. Whereas right now it's fine. But Chad, CM, Chad Money Johnson, do you want to shrug this off, or are you delighted to hear this news?
I'm not surprised in the least. I have a long, documented history of loving and hating Roman. I'll tell you my issues first. I do agree with James. I think there is something more. There's an additional layer that does make. I think Roman is better than what we see and what we've been getting. The heel turn, of course, has been good. My main issues with Roman, besides the booking, for me is, number one, I've never seen Roman in a natural state. Like you guys said, he's always been forced down our throats. So I've never been able to see an organic storyline build. I've never been able to see him get his own chants besides boos. So it's been real shaky for me. Other than that, Roman Reigns has not lost a match, not even non-title. He has not lost a match in like 2 years. I'm fucking sick of it. It's ridiculous. Not even by disqualification anymore. It's clear what they're trying to do, what they've been trying to do. And they're kind of just like, shut up and take it. I don't negotiate with terrorists, so I don't like that. That's my main issue with Roman Reigns. I hate that shit. Other than that, though, the hill run has been cool. It's been smooth. The reign has been okay. We get it. He's going to cheat. He's going to win. He's going to be the champion for 900 days. I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. But let it build naturally. Let the competitors and the participants that are stepping up, don't give them a fair shake if they're not going to get the title. Like, we're at the point where now you're starting to insult our intelligence. We know they're not going to win, and you're picking people that we obviously want to win, and you're absolutely turning a blind ear to anything we're thinking. So that's my main issue with Roman. I guess if they want to make him the new Stone Cold, it's never going to happen because he doesn't have I don't think Roman has the charisma. Honestly, that's just a me thing. I don't think he has the charisma. I think he's good in ring. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. No, I don't want to say it like this, but it's maybe not that he doesn't have the charisma, even though I agree, I don't think he does. I think it's more of, I don't think he'll ever be as captivating as a Stone Cold or a Hulk Hogan. So that's my gripe with it. But terrorism aside, Roman Reigns has been on a tear, I guess. And yeah, it's more the long term. But I was gonna say one of the, I think, good examples of Roman Reigns having an opponent built up, funny enough, was actually Cesaro, even though we all knew he wasn't going to win. But Cesaro was riding like literally the biggest push of his career in the months leading up to that. Like, he had wins over Daniel Bryan before Daniel Bryan left. Like, he was so well protected. He had all these big wins, and then he beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So like that's how you build a number one contender, even if they're not going to win. Like, that's how you do it. And then,
but where is he now?
I don't even know what brand he's on, so that's a great question. But
he's on SmackDown.
That's how you do it. But since then, it's been like, bring back the legends, and which is weird because I found it less likely that Cena would beat Reigns than I did Cesaro. I was like, yeah, Cesaro's like a 0.05% chance. I was like, Cena's never gonna, in any circumstance, win this match unless it was, just only a few years ago, honestly. But still, like, it's, I don't know. I don't like that kind of stuff. But any other Roman Reigns nonsense you guys want to throw it our way before?
The last thing I wanted to say, and this isn't even just a knock on Roman. It's not a knock on Roman at all. It's just a knock on WWE. I don't think they're in a position to create a star bigger than anyone they've had in the past.
Yeah.
When they had their Hulk Hogans, when they had their Stone Colds, and honestly, even when they had their Cena, wrestling was in a period that was just so much bigger than it is now. And like, granted, I think there's better wrestling today than there's ever been prior. Like, I truly believe that. I think we're in a golden age of wrestling content, but those stars became stars because of the crowd around them. Doesn't matter how they were booked. Like, yeah, of course they were booked beautifully, but I don't think we're ever going to get to a point of Hulk Hogan like being an icon, or Stone Cold Steve Austin being an icon, or even Cena being an icon. And I think Roman could do the best work of his career. I think Roman could be delivering an exciting product better. Like, I'm not saying he will, but I think even if he was capable of it, I don't know if the wrestling landscape would allow for a star to be that big ever again.
Yeah.
And also,
that's a good point.
That also goes back to the idea that WWE doesn't want to build a star that big anymore because no one's allowed to be bigger than the brand now. Cena's probably the last guy that's ever going to happen to, unless Becky Lynch actually breaks out herself, which she might be able to. But I think Cena's the last guy that's ever going to happen to where he's ended up bigger than the brand. mean, dude's, now he's a superhero and he's got his own HBO show and a top movie that came out recently, and he's going to be making more. So I don't think you're ever going to get a star to those levels just because WWE isn't going to allow it, which also leads into then the other reason why they're having such a hard time finding somebody to beat Roman, because they're not building people the way they used to. And now they just don't know how to build anyone to get up to the level where he is, where it's an actual credible challenger to Roman.
And I think with Cena in particular, it's Cena. I think this is going to be the case for anybody in WWE modern day. Like, I kind of agree with James. Like, I don't know if Cena was in a landscape where he could become that icon on the level of those before him, but I think hindsight will rewrite that because he is now a big movie star. But without Hollywood, he's not. Like, he doesn't reach that iconic status. Like, The Rock hits that status without Hollywood. The Hollywood thing just drives it way, way over the top. With Cena, he was just the wrestling guy. And now he'll stop being looked at like that. Like, in a few years, he'll be in so many movies where it's like, there's going to be people who don't know John Cena as a wrestler. And that's like same thing for Roman Reigns or like if Beckylynch, like they leave, they instantly become bigger deals, and they will become bigger stars in a year and a half of being in Hollywood than they have in all their time in WWE, because their bubble is that restricted. Not even just because wrestling isn't as popular, because they have such a tight grip on their bubble and how much they allow it to expand. Enough.
Well, I was going to say, I think you can make a good argument that the John Cena memes probably reach more people than a John Cena match.
That's true. Meme culture has drastically affected icon status for people nowadays. Like, I think the RKO to Nowhere
perfect example
videos are way bigger than Randy Orton's ever been, So there's a lot going on in that. But real quick, actually, I wasn't going to talk about this, but speaking of internet bullshit, essentially, real quick, I'm going to talk about sneaker culture for like 25 seconds. There's a little bit of Twitter beef between Hit Rose, Top Dollar, and multiple people on the AEW roster, and I am half white, so I don't have the best fashion sense because of that handicap, but someone literally has a giant rack full of sneakers behind them. That's the only reason I decided to bring this up, because I was like, you know what? I want to hear a quick take from Chad, but also I'd just like to say Asics are really comfortable, so get the hell out of here, Top Dollar, with that nonsense.
Yes, I am a sneakerhead. However, I am not the average sneakerhead. I am super not judgmental or standoffish with what anybody's wearing. And as of late, I definitely wear whatever is the most comfortable for me. I think Top Dollar he's in a good position. So for him to make snide remarks and be honestly stupid in public, I think is a disservice to what Hit Row's doing. I know all publicity is supposed to be good publicity, but you just look like a dick. So stop in this situation. Like he's in a position where they're about to build him and they're propelling him as this great big guy on SmackDown, and he might get a championship and all that shit. Shut your mouth for a little bit.
Yeah, he was just trying to get attention. That's how I look at it too.
Be kind or shut up. Well, that's really
there we go. Also, how dare you hate on Vans? That's a whole like subculture.
Yeah, Vans are comfortable as shit. Who hates on Vans?
I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie. They're not my speed, and I also kind of refuse to wear cloth shoes because I would live in New York, and then you can't wear them half the months out of the year.
That's true.
Or when it's raining. Like, I just find cloth shoes in general useless.
I don't like wearing Vans, but I think they have an important place in emo history. So yeah. I respect that.
I do make exceptions for old school Chuck Taylors and PF Flyers on the rare occasion, but
It's a good shoe.
hey, PF Flyers make you run faster and jump higher. It's scientifically proven.
That's just facts. You can't dispute that.
Ask any of the Jet Rodriguez.
There we go. How many episodes in this? Our first Sandlot reference? God damn.
It only took to Halloween and none of us dressed up like him. What a shame.
I don't have a Dodgers hat.
I do, but it's black and white.
So to smoothly change topics from something as serious as sneakers and sneaker culture, we're going to move on to something a little more lighthearted. Or wait, sorry, I have that completely backwards. We're going to move on to the more serious thing, and that is Kota Ibushi unfortunately suffered a dislocated shoulder during his match with Okada during the G1 climax. It is not, it feels weird saying this, but it's not too harsh of an injury. He will only be out for 2 months reportedly, which, hey, that's pretty good. But the match did come to an abrupt stop, which you never want to see in wrestling. It happens. We saw it not too long ago with Lance Archer, like last week. It's an unfortunate side effect of wrestling, and you never want matches to end like that. So speedy recovery to Ibushi. And although Okada was very likely to have won that match, I would say probably 60, 70%. That's who you likely to think is going to win that match. I think it is a little bit of a momentum killer going forward, but I am not the most informed person on New Japan, so I will turn it over to our residential New Japan, Impact, Ring of Honor, Rev Pro, What Culture Wrestling, the only one of us that is wearing a mask, and the only one of us that is in costume for non-Halloween related reasons.
I'm wearing a costume. This is just a Wednesday night, guys.
Hey,
you know what that means. It's always unfortunate when someone gets injured. It's just an unfortunate part of this business. It's an unfortunate part of wrestling. Kota Ibushi is a living test dummy. He has crashed his body. He has crashed his neck. He has crashed parts of himself in so many ways that, thank God, he's gone this long without an injury. And unfortunately, it couldn't have happened at a worse time than to finish off the brutal tournament that is the G1. I agree. I think more or less Okada was probably going to be the man to win this, and it's unfortunate that it happened in the way it did. Moving forward, I mean, the match, like, I don't think there was going to be much left to the match in the first place. It was a very awkwardly landed Phoenix splash, which was it was going to probably lead near to the finish no matter what, but we'll never really know how it was supposed to go. Moving past that, as unfortunate it is to put Kota into the rear view mirror, looking forward for New Japan, there is a lot of drama and a lot of exciting possibilities regarding the main event of Wrestle Kingdom and regarding the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, or if Okada has his way, the IWGP Championship. The current champion is Shingo Takagi. He is carrying the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It is the newest version of that belt. It has its own lineage separate from the classic IWGP Championship, which is quite stupid. But beyond that, he is the champion. Prior to his winning the vacated championship was Will Ospreay, who had to relinquish the belt due to injury, who since returning has been carrying his belt and claiming he is the real world champion. Now with Okada winning the G1, he has said he does not care about challenging Shingo Takagi. He does not care about the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He wants to bring back his IWGP Championship, a belt that almost every wrestling fan who's ever seen it will say is the most beautiful belt in wrestling, and has a much richer lineage than this newer belt. And Okada is carrying the belt around. So now we have three men carrying what they claim to be is the real world championship of the company. And they are all incredible wrestlers. They all have a reason to want what they want. And no matter what we get, I said this last time, we're going to get some incredible wrestling. And if we are leading towards Okada versus Shingo, or Okada versus Ospreay, or Ospreay versus Shingo, or whatever, it's going to be a good time to watch wrestling. And considering Wrestle Kingdom is going to go for the unprecedented 3-night event as opposed to the 2-night event that we've been getting the last couple of years, that WWE has followed suit with WrestleMania, it's very possible we're going to get all 3 of those matches in some variation for some belt, for some title, for whatever. But yeah, lots of potential moving forward, guys.
That's a lot of belts to keep track of. And I think mixing the lineage up like that is unnecessarily confusing, but still, it's New Japan, so we're going to get some great matches out of that. I'll leave it open for you other 2 people here. You got any comments on this?
All I'm going to say is that, well, that New Japan belt is cursed. Ever since they introduced it, dudes have been dropping like flies. They should just either burn it or like put it out to pasture, because I don't think it looks good at all, but it obviously doesn't look nearly as good as the IWGP Championship, and it needs to die before someone actually does.
We've had people with that belt get COVID. We've had people with that belt get injured. We've had people put on the sidelines. I don't like to throw around curse, but our Lord Reverend of the Sky might be right.
This is what happens when you disrespect the OG IWGP Championship.
He's right. Chad, anything?
I have nothing to add. You guys summed it up beautifully. I'm intrigued by the curse, though, so I'm going to look that up shortly.
All right. Well, and like I believe we've said before, speedy recovery to Ibushi.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, so.
But yeah, I guess that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Just a quick shout out to this video sponsor, Eric Gisante, famous indie film director of classic hits, award-winning hits like The Selfish Ones and Stay Here, but here is spelled like when you hear things, not like when you are here. It's very clever. Shout out to him. Go check out his works. He put this all together totally. Anyway, have a safe Halloween, everyone. If you see anyone with a mustache like Jimothy Chalamet over here, please keep your kids safe. Don't forget to subscribe so Jimmy Jam can make your life complete with his rap that he said he already wrote and is just waiting for us to hit 100 subscribers. Make sure you like this on social media so you can hound him about that. If you believe in that sort of thing, social media, that is. We have them. Check them out. We'll put them in the description. We got them all: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace. We got them all.
We're working on the MySpace.
Yeah, it's there. It's all songs, including James's rap once, we get that going. But thank you for watching the Mark It Down podcast. For Lord, Reverend, partial producer, tech guy, Nick Cummings, Chad Big Bad Johnson, and Jim Robbins, I'm Danny Hernandez. You could all leave now.